They didn't believe in him. They didn't understand him. They twisted his silence into arrogance, his ambition into delusion, and his discipline into coldness. And for the longest time, he tried to make them see not just what he was doing, but why he was doing it. He tried to explain the fire in his chest, the war in his mind, the dreams that wouldn't let him sleep. He tried to convince them that he wasn't crazy, he was just awake in a world that had chosen comfort over calling. But the day came when he stopped. Not because he gave up, but because he finally understood. Not everyone is meant to understand your path. Not everyone deserves an explanation. And the truth is, if they need you to explain your hunger, they've already proven they're not built for where you're going. The day he stopped explaining himself was the day he reclaimed his power. It wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It was quiet, intentional, controlled. And yet, it shifted everything. No more defending his solitude. No more justifying his grind. No more watering down his vision to make others comfortable. He realized that every time he explained himself, he was giving a piece of his fire to people who never planned to carry it with him. And that's when he decided, no more. You see, most people aren't listening to understand. They're listening to judge, to categorize you, to decide whether your dreams fit inside the limited framework of their fear. And if they don't, they dismiss you. They laugh. They criticize. Or worse, they pity you. And that pity is poison, because it tries to convince you to slow down, to shrink, to doubt yourself. But he knew better now, because when you're building something no one can see yet, you owe no one a preview. You owe them results, not permission, not validation, not a play-by-play of your process, just result. The man who explains himself too much ends up exhausted, broken, and misunderstood. But the man who moves in silence becomes a storm no one can predict and no one can stop. And silence doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It means maturity. It means trusting yourself when no one claps, when no one nods, when no one says, I get it. Because the truth is, they don't. They don't know what it's like to live with a calling that keeps burning even when your body is tired and your heart is heavy. They don't know what it means to walk alone because everyone else settled for average. They don't know what it feels like to be obsessed with purpose, to wake up every day, not chasing success, but chasing growth. He used to explain why he worked so hard, why he didn't go out, why he cut off certain people, why he disappeared for weeks just to focus, why he said no more than yes. But then he realized if they were watching closely, they wouldn't need to ask. His life would speak for itself. His discipline would become the proof. His consistency would be the language. His results would do all the talking. And on that day, the day he stopped explaining himself, the world felt different. Not because the world had changed, but because he had. He stopped seeking permission. He stopped waiting for applause. He stopped needing people to get it. And suddenly he was free, not from responsibility, but from the weight of expectations that were never his to carry. You see, we live in a world addicted to explaining. Justify your choices, validate your dreams, clarify your standards. But the truth is, lions don't explain themselves to sheep, and the wolf doesn't send letters to the forest before it hunts. Power moves quietly. Purpose moves alone. And when you start walking in that mindset, people will notice, but not because you told them. They'll feel it in your absence, in your silence, in your discipline, in your energy. He didn't become cold. He became clear. He didn't become rude. He became unavailable to anything that didn't align with his mission. And it was lonely at first, but then he realized the man who's focused will always be misunderstood by the man who's distracted. And that's okay. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them label. Because while they're busy talking, he's busy building. While they're doubting, he's developing. While they're laughing, he's leveling up. Every time you try to explain yourself to someone who hasn't fought your battles, you drain your spirit. You're trying to translate a language they've never spoken, and all it does is rob you of your momentum. So stop. Let them think what they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them feel uncomfortable. Because your mission is not to be liked. Your mission is not to be approved. Your mission is to become who you were born to be. With or without applause, the real ones will feel your shift. They'll see the glow up without the show off. They'll recognize the discipline, not because you explained it, but because they live it too. And that's the tribe you want. The ones who speak silence fluently. The ones who understand why you're not around. The ones who nod in respect when they see you grind alone. Those are your people. The rest? Background noise. He used to carry the weight of people's opinions. Every sideways look, every sarcastic comment, every whispered doubt. It lived in his head. Until he decided, not anymore. That space is reserved for strategy now, for vision, for execution. He started protecting his mind like it was sacred ground. Because it is. You don't build empires with distracted minds. You don't create legacy while explaining yourself to people who have no intention of growing. You save the mind. If you start with peace while explaining yourself to people who have no intention of growing, and the moment he stopped explaining himself, something unlocked. A deeper energy, a sharper focus, a peace that didn't come from being understood, but from no longer needing to be. That's power. That's where transformation lives. Not in the approval of others, but in the alignment with yourself. He stopped texting people who never reached out. He stopped replying to drama. He stopped over-explaining his boundaries. Now he just enforces them. With silence, with presence, with peace. Because when you finally realize that you don't owe anyone your story, you start writing it the way it was meant to be written. In truth, in clarity, in strength. And here's the part they never tell you. When you stop explaining yourself, you start evolving faster because you're no longer pausing your journey to get others on board. You're not looking over your shoulder to see who's clapping. You're not adjusting your pace to fit the crowd. You're running your race. And every step forward becomes sacred. The relationships that couldn't survive your silence, they were never real. The friends that faded when you chose growth, they were never aligned. The opinions that vanished when you stopped feeding them explanations, they were never about you. They were projections of their own limitations. And now he's unstoppable. Not because he's loud, but because he's locked in. He doesn't argue. He doesn't post to prove. He doesn't need to respond to the noise. He's too busy walking in truth, in silence, in strength. That's when everything changed, and the world could no longer distract him, when fear could no longer delay him, when opinions could no longer weaken him. And if you're hearing this right now, maybe it's your turn. Maybe you spent too much time explaining why you want more, why you're pulling back, why you're changing, why you've disappeared. Maybe you've given too much of your energy trying to be understood when you should have been focused on becoming undeniable. Let this be the day you stop explaining yourself. Let this be the moment you take your power back. You don't owe them a version of you they can understand. You owe yourself the freedom to be who you really are, fully, completely, and unapologetically. Let your work speak. Let your silence echo. Let your results do all the talking. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself, everything changes.